what happened was a relatively sophisticated cover-up.
What does that mean? Does that mean that there was no massacre?
Meaning that the UN didn't have enough facts.
If we walk in the mountain, we just walk on the dead body.
Muslim တွေအကြောင်းကဘာကြီးမသိအောင်ဦးစင်းကြဆုံးအောင်လုပ်မှရမှာ
In May of 2015, a mass grave of over 30 bodies was uncovered in an abandoned human trafficking camp in southern Thailand. The site is believed to be one of many dotting the area. These graves are at the end of an intricate transnational human trafficking route that has its origins in an ethnic conflict and state-sanctioned oppression in Myanmar that has reached alarming new heights since 2012. In recent years, hundreds of millions of dollars have been made in Southeast Asia by selling desperate people as property, with thousands held for ransom in makeshift jungle prison camps, and at times tortured, enslaved, or killed. All of it done with the cooperation of high-ranking officials from multiple governments. And as internal United Nations documents obtained by Vice News show, concerns regarding crimes against humanity and the potential for additional mass atrocities are being swept under the rug in favor of political expediency. Meanwhile, investments have been pouring into Myanmar, and the country has been called the last big economic frontier. The U.S. State Department has even championed the democratic reforms as a major success story.
We fully recognize and embrace the progress that has taken place.
But while the world focuses on Myanmar's transition toward democracy, the government has actually enacted a system of apartheid in regards to an ethnic Muslim minority called the Rohingya. There's been a lot of excitement over what's been happening in Myanmar the past few years, as reforms have swept the country and the people have been granted a whole lot more freedom. But here in Rakhine State, things are pretty different. The Rohingya people have been rounded up into squalid camps where they've languished for years. We met up with a Rohingya community leader named Ong Wing in a camp near Sittwe. Why do you think the government is doing this to the Rohingya?
So government is still doing nothing for the Rohingya. They declared that no, there is no Rohingya, so they do not want to talk about with the Rohingya. So we were separated and we have no one to have us, So we have no future here.
According to the government, you and your people, you don't exist.
Yeah, according with the government policy, we cannot exist, in Myanmar as a Rohingya people. So we are not like a human being. They treat us as an animal. They have no hope here, no job, nothing, How can I mention the situation? I am also facing very difficulties here. So my families are Ringo. I am living here. What is my family life?
You can't see them.
We are not allowed to go free to Rangoon. So how can I reunite with my family?
In all of the camps, Rohingya face heavy restrictions and are forbidden from leaving. The camps have been referred to as refugee camps or internally displaced persons camps, but they are essentially internment camps. We're heading to an area called Pak Tao. The situation there is supposed to be quite drastic, but because it's far out of the way, most people don't get there, and access is restricted. The Get Chong camp near Pak Tao is about an hour boat ride from the nearest city, and just one of the many camps where Rohingya are forced to live under the strict control of the government. The Rohingya are a Muslim minority concentrated mostly in Rakhine State and across the border in Bangladesh. They have long suffered discrimination at the hands of the government, who see them as foreign invaders despite their long history of living in the area. In 2012, the gang rape and murder of a Rakhine Buddhist girl sparked a bloody conflict between the Muslim Rohingya and the Buddhist Rakhine people, who make up the majority of Rakhine State. Historic ethnic tensions between the groups resurfaced, and the conflict spiraled out of control. Entire villages were burned to the ground as both groups attacked each other. Even more troubling, the police and state officials largely stood by, and in some cases participated in the attacks on the Rohingya. The destruction left tens of thousands of Rohingya homeless and resulted in what Human Rights Watch has called ethnic cleansing. 140,000 Rohingya were moved into government-built camps, and the mass displacement has given way to a new set of human rights abuses. If you look out, there's just these camps and nothing anywhere else. Has a very end of the earth type feel here right now. The camps receive little aid. Foreign NGOs who work with Rohingya face severe restrictions. Some have been attacked by Rakhine extremists, and others have been forced out of the region. Here in Get Chong, there have been shortages of basic needs like clean water and food, and there are barely any medical services available. Can you tell us what's happened to your uncle? What will you do now? Nazir's uncle passed away shortly after.
Abuses against this population have been going on for decades. So we're talking about forced labor, killings, torture. Going back to 1982, the government of Myanmar stripped the Rohingya of their citizenship status. So they now constitute the world's largest stateless population within a given country's borders.
Matthew Smith is the founder and executive director of Fortify Rights, a nonprofit human rights organization that documents abuses against the Rohingya. Is the government of Myanmar, are they complicit in this?
The government would love for the world to believe that what's happening in Rakhine State is a situation of communal violence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The abuses that we've documented and the abuses that have been happening for decades, these are abuses by the state. And in some cases, the abuses go straight to the top. So we're talking about key government ministers. We're talking about the highest levels of government in Myanmar. It is a police state. It's fair to say that it's an apartheid state, particularly in northern Rakhine State. There are roads for Buddhists, roads for Muslims. Muslims are not allowed to leave their village without permission.
And in Rakhine State, the government seems to be preparing to keep the Rohingya in these camps much longer. We're in an entrance area to the camps. Behind me is a new police battalion area that's being built where a battalion will be staying. You can see that they're not really planning on having the Rohingya leave the camps anytime soon, which leads into the fact that people think that they're here, they're permanent. Outside of the camps, the city of Sittwe moves along, with one major difference. No more Rohingya live there, except for those in a fenced-off ghetto away from the center of town. Fear and distrust of the Rohingya is commonplace. Some Buddhists in Myanmar fear a Muslim population boom and see the Rohingya as illegal immigrants from Bangladesh, hell-bent on taking over their country and threatening its Buddhist identity. A small number of Rakhine Buddhists also lost their homes in the 2012 fighting, and we headed to the fairly well-kept camps they live in to talk with them about the situation.
Do you
think that the two communities could ever live together in peace again? But where exactly has this fear come from? Some political and religious leaders, including Buddhist monks, have spread distrust of Muslims in an effort to increase their popularity and push people towards a more hardline stance, and towards more hardline political groups. Though his influence has waned, Wiratu, a Buddhist monk who serves as a spiritual leader of the popular Buddhist extremist political organization Mabata, has been one of the most vocal anti-Islam proponents.
So basically what you see here is photos of Wiratu with jihadi types holding a photo of him that says wanted, burning some effigies of him, and then additionally photos of crimes committed by Muslims all over the world, some Islamic State photos, things along those lines, and that's part of the message that he spreads to all his followers through social media and through his preaching, that all Muslims represent a threat. What is it that people are misunderstanding about the situation? You know, we saw what happened in Jakarta, in Indonesia recently. You've got the photos out there of all the jihadi stuff. Is there fear here of Muslims?
Speaking out against the Rohingya garners massive popular support, and anyone attempting to help them is met with strong opposition, leaving them to fend for themselves. With many Rohingya eager to escape by any means possible, human traffickers have taken advantage of the desperate situation in the camps.
People would be brought into these camps, they'd be handed a telephone, and they'd be told, you need to raise $2,000 for your freedom, or we will either kill you or you will die here.
If we walk in the mountain, we just walk on the dead body.
How high up do you think the corruption goes?
ทุกอย่างผิดกฎหมายขึ้นมาคุมไม่ได้